Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by your Indiana Pacers. Well, a joint venture between Indianapolis-based Heritage Environmental and Zinc Nacional in Mexico has announced plans to set up shop in Muncie. Wells Sustainable Products plans to invest $75 million to build a 30-acre kiln facility at the former Borg Warner campus. The project expected to create up to 90 jobs over the next several years, but that number could grow to several hundred. Amazon.com says it has hired 500 employees at the Gary delivery station it opened last month. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report the hires range from seasonal delivery associates to full-time assistant managers and station operations managers. And the former executive director of the Hancock County Economic Development Council has died. Skip Cooker passed away at Hancock Regional Hospital after a 5-year battle with cancer. Despite that diagnosis, Skip was a tireless advocate for economic development in Hancock County and the region. Skip Cooker was 55. Well, according to 2016 U.S. Census Bureau data, on average, Indiana state and local governments have about $8 billion less to invest compared to municipalities in other parts of the country. Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, or AIM, believes the state must pivot to focus on people and improving quality of life to retain and attract talent. That's why AIM wants to create investment hubs. Joining me now to explain the concept are AIM CEO Matt Greller and Fisher's Mayor Scott Fadness. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks.
Matt, first of all, that stat I teed up there, $8 million less on average that Indiana municipalities have less than their counterparts elsewhere. Why is that? Why is that happening?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with tax policy over the years from the legislature. We've done a very, very good job of being an excellent business climate tax state, as most people know. What we have to do now is double down on attracting talent, attracting people back to the state, and that starts in cities and towns. It starts where we can build quality places and bring those folks back home.
And you also talk about Indiana cities and towns competing a lot, whereas their counterparts in other places are collaborating more. Is that something you feel needs to change?
Yeah, absolutely. If we're going to be competitive with our counterparts around the country, it has to happen on a regional basis. So the jurisdictional boundaries that we have in place today have got to move away, and we've got to work together.
Mayor Fadness, you have been a big proponent of regional collaboration. Certainly a lot going on, a lot of development in Fishers, as we report on a lot. As you look at these investment hubs, this is somewhat of a natural extension of the Regional Cities Initiative.
Absolutely is. It's about sustainability. So the Regional Cities idea was a wonderful one-time shot, capital infusion into certain areas of our state to create better quality of place initiatives. But ultimately what we need to do is have a flywheel of reinvestment into our regions. And this idea that AIM is proposing that we're working diligently on is all about that. If we can invest money into our regions and those regions prosper, more revenue is generated, then we reinvest back into those regions. And that cyclical flywheel approach is what really starts to move the needle towards creating the type of cities that I think the next generation of talented people want to live in.
And you're talking about pivoting to talent, retaining, attracting talent, but also creating something that's sustainable, that's not just a 1-year, 2-year hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, part and parcel to, I think, the governor has a very progressive agenda, a real visionary agenda around regionalism. And I think we all recognize that. We want to fall in line with that. And frankly, I think local governments want to come off the sidelines and start being an active participant in forming those regions and being a part of it.
This is about putting the onus on local governments, right? Matt, talk about these investment hubs and how they'd work.
Yeah, so it would take multiple communities to come together, at least 5 or 100,000 population, to gel around the idea of creating a hub. They would opt in through a series of provisions in the legislation that we're proposing, and they would create a governance body that would invest not only back into the bricks and mortar types of things we do on a daily basis, roads and streets and water and sewer, but also on transformational regional type projects.
This is something to be considered at the Indiana State House this year. Scott, as you look at this, what's the potential for this type of model?
It has the potential to change the course of a lot of our regions here in the state of Indiana and truly transform our areas. I think the conversation, and it's been really encouraging talking to the leadership at the State House, there's a recognition that regions need to work together. There's a recognition that we got to give some tools to the locals to be able to do that. And so I'm encouraged on both fronts that I think this legislation has such potential to transform our local regions. And at the same time, I'm really encouraged by the relationship and the open dialogue between state legislators and local units of government.
All right, Fishers Mayor Scott Fadness and Matt Greller, the CEO at AIM, will be following investment hubs at the State House. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Gary.
All right.